Boy, you two look like fucking brothers. You even move fucking similar. You know that?
Shit!
You do.
Brothers from a different mother.
Yeah, you actually like have the same motion and movements and.
It's that old Midwestern Indian, you know. That,
Is it really?
You know, yeah.
Okay.
Midwestern Indian thing.
Yeah.
Around
Okay.
the bonfire and
All right, you prairie.
the sacred pipe.
Prairie wogs, whatever you are, you know. Welcome to Indiana, Indianapolis, here at Intensity Cycles with the new Cycle Freak crew. What did you bring us here?
This started out as a great big fuck you to everybody out there riding what they think is the best thing. It don't matter if it's Harley or Jap or Moto Guzzi. If you're on two wheels, you're riding. That's how I feel about it. If the throttle's on the right, it's good. Well, back in the day, I say back in the day, back in the 60s and 70s, a coffin tank was the coolest thing going. But there was one problem with the coffin tank. Mine's mounted upside down.
See that?
The original coffin tank, this end was up top. That put all your volume higher up, and you had less room for a petcock.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought if the angle here is right, why not just invert the thing? That lowers your weight, gives you more room for a petcock. We made it out of 14 because we were begging material. Pop Clutch over in Iowa, we went to a grain handling manufacturer, and he had 14 gauge laying underneath his press. And, can I have that? And that's what we ended up making it out of. And he had the brake that was big enough. He had a 14-foot brake, so you know, we were able to bend both sides. I couldn't tell you what that angle is, but I know that angle is identical on the other side because we did them both at the same time. 71 CB750 power plant. I wanted to go with CB because that was the poor man's chopper project. Not everybody could afford Harleys. You couldn't piece enough parts together because it was either war surplus or bikes that were bought in the 30s and 40s. And that's when all the technology started changing. If you had a 1930s Harley and a 1940s Harley, you could not put parts from one bike onto the other. Things just didn't work out that way.
I agree.
But the CB750 is a power plant that was cheap, was in high production. We've bored this one out, put a 883 big bore kit in it. As far as the rest of the bike goes, I've got a key, a push button, a toggle for the headlight, and I've got a 12 volts so I can charge my phone. This is a Sunbeam electric iron box. What I dig about it, it's hinged here, but it's also hinged here. So I've got room for my starter solenoid, rectifier regulator, battery slides in right there beside it. Got my fuse box on the back. Everything's enclosed. Just something a little different. You know, it's not off the shelf. This little box I made up here, you can't go to a store and buy something like that. Got the key, push button, toggle, and the 12 volt accessory. I've got it welded to the frame. It's not going anywhere. Oil lines have always been an issue with people. How do I run them? Where do I locate them? Go back to basics. Go to your hardware store, get your galvanized plumbing pieces, get your brass fittings. If it works automotive or machinery, it's going to work on a bike. Now this bike's only running a back brake, so I suspect there's going to be a time in my life when I want to stop. Well, if you got your angle up high enough, you can stand on that brake.
Yes, you can.
You can lock up that back tire. I could put that brake pedal down here, but all I've got is movement of my toes. So, yeah, it looks awkward sticking up like that. But when you want to stop and get into a power slide to avoid an accident, you got to have it up high enough to stand on it. I'm not sure what's that's from. I saw it at a swap meet down in Florida, and picked it up down there. I knew I could manufacture it. Well, that's a quick release pin off of a tractor. The reason I did that is my sissy bar fits in there. My sissy bar mounts up here, so I don't have torsion arms holding my fender. My sissy bar is actually holding my fender. Okay, sissy bar, license plate, light, it's all one piece. But the reason I went with quick release pins here, because those 3 bolts are the only other thing holding the fender on there. So if I have a tire problem or I need to get into the deep end of the bike, all I got to do is pull those 3 bolts, and these 2 pins, sissy bar, fender, and everything is off the bike. I can work on the side of the road with an Allen wrench and be done. Yeah, this is what I made up. It's 7/8 inch solid. I just heard a collective, oh my God.
Nope.
I've got 2 brass turn-ins here. My Army rucksack, the top handle will slide over here, and that top handle will come right around there. So my backpack is also my backrest. In my opinion, there's several different bikes you can build. You can build a pretty $60,000. I'm not going to mention names, but you know the bikes I'm talking about. You can lay metal on there, hide everything, and have pretty panels, and put your flame skulls and smoke and do all that. Or you can build a bike that you're going to ride that is serviceable on the road, that you don't have a problem hopping on and going 200 miles, because all you got to carry is a couple of wrenches, some WD-40, and a couple of
What are you
fuses.
doing for Don?
Well, when Don brought it to me, he had no power to the starter, and he wasn't certain if he'd hooked the rectifier regulator up correctly. I made my own connections here to sort out that we'll go back through after we reroute it, and an actual connector on this end, but we had to get all the wires hooked to what they needed to be hooked to first to make certain everything is going where it's supposed to. And then we'll clean all this up. I'll put the rectifier inside the box here, hide it up next to the starter solenoid. Battery goes in here, and once we do that, all this wiring will be cleaned up and have its own connectors and stuff, but we needed to make certain that juice was going where it's supposed to go. Speaking of juice, that's the correct juice whenever working on a chopper. She's running 12-to-1 compression, but with the inline 4, it spins up a lot faster. So so you don't need as much amperage. Cold cranking amperage on this battery is probably 125 cold cranking amps maybe, and that's plenty for this motor.
What about that gas gauge, Don?
Well, that's what it truly is. It's a gas gauge. There's nothing but Newton's law involved with this. You fill up this tank, and it's going to fill that hose. I've got fuel to a level line. When it gets down in this point, I need to be looking for a gas station. And something I did a little different, I inset the fittings so they're not sticking out an inch. Listen to your friends, and then process that through your mind and figure out, yeah, they're right. It fits better here than up here. I am Don Wood.
Welcome back, Cycle Freaks. We're here with the great Don Wood again. He's going to explain plumbing to you.
One of one of the problems you have on motorcycles is you got to make the decision how close to OEM you're going to keep it. And here's a good case in point. OEM plumbing on a 750, this was a press fitting to a rubber hose. Well, they don't fit when you're manufacturing something like this. So what I did, I took this off, I cut off the pressed fitting, and I took this section to a machine shop and I had them put threads on the ends of it for me. Cost me 30 bucks to get threads on these two fittings. You can see a little bit better on this one how it works. But the machine shop turned me some threads on there. At that point, I got all the options in the world. I don't have to run OEM oil lines on it.
Okay, Cycle Freaks, we're here with Don Woods, low budget chopper. It's Kevin Alexander. What are you doing today?
I am now hiding all the wires I screwed with the other day. By putting it in just fabric coated loom, it just gives it a lot cleaner look than this cheap plastic crap that you can buy at your auto parts store. Nothing, if you've got no choice, obviously this is better than just leaving wires hanging, but this look versus that look, for just a few dollars more, what would you want? The axle is just a hair smaller than what was milled out of the frame to receive it. So we have slop in the axle. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna mill spacers to fill this void here exact, and then the axle will fit inside the spacer so it'll ride on the spacer and not on this section of the frame anymore.
All right, we pulled the axle out just to measure the OD of the axle. The axle has machine marks on it like it was made on a small lathe. There's a lot of tearing on it. So it really wasn't a quality made axle. And then we put the calipers on it. You can see 73.25. It's quite a bit under 3/4. So that also helps with a little bit of this movement you get with the axle and all the components that are on the axle. So you get a little slop in the way this thing fits in. You know, there's that much slop. You can even see it. So you can imagine with that, the axle slop and that slop, you get a lot of slop, and you just can't have that much on there. So everything's got to be redone to a tighter tolerance to make it fit better.
What are you doing, Kevin?
I'm gonna fire this bitch.
Are you?
Yes, I am.
Wow, I like the smell of that.
Don't let it run too long because there's no oil.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't tell us that.
I just told you that.
Ain't got no oil in it.
There you go.
I just came.
Didn't need hard, did it?
See what I mean? You don't need a hard on to come.
Yeah! That's
Well
how I
done,
felt
Kev.
the first
Well
time
done.
we started mine in here.
Well done.
Do it again, do it again.
Do it again, one more time.
Job a lot easier is this power bleeder.
Power bleeder.
Creates a vacuum, and when the caliper is higher than the master cylinder, it's almost essential. You'll be here all damn day. We'll check the last little bit. There we go.
Hell yeah. What do you think, Don? So,
Well, I think it's been a good couple of days. We
Yeah.
made some progress and we accomplished some things that I wasn't capable of doing. Wiring, I'd rather herd cats than fool with wiring. And I've had more success herding cats than
Really?
doing wiring. So
okay.
it was worth the trip to come up here and spend some time with some good people and tinker on my project and getting the back tire lined up
Yeah.
to track down the road is going to make a world of difference. I'm hoping to have this under my tail Daytona in March. Just going to hang a little noose with
Yeah.
just a little noose hanging down here with a fat chick doll.
All right.
No fat chicks.
No fat.
Tiny little drill bits.
This is where we started out in life. We all wanted a little bitty hole like that.
God damn.
We borrowed those out of Kevin's Barbie house.
Hey y'all, watch this!
That
Hey
is.
y'all, watch this!
All right. Can we get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah!